Good evening, night dwellers. Welcome to the channel where shadows whisper and eerie tales soothe you to sleep. Let me guide you through tonight's chilling stories. Relax, close your eyes, and let the darkness take you. Sweet dreams. Our first story begins in a place that should have been safe. I've gone back and forth on posting this for a while because even typing it out makes me feel like I'm feeding into something I don't fully understand. But here goes. This happened about 2 years ago when I went camping with my friend Mark. We picked a pretty remote spot, like really remote. No cell service, no marked trails, just miles of dense forest, and a small clearing near a creek where we set up camp. It was the kind of place where everything goes dead quiet at night, like the woods are holding their breath. The first day was completely normal. We hiked, set up tents, made a fire, drank a bit. Nothing weird. But that night, that's when things got off. Around maybe 1 or 2 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like someone walking just outside the tent. Slow, deliberate footsteps. Crunch, pause, crunch. At first, I thought it was Mark, maybe getting up to pee or something. But then I realized the footsteps were circling the tent, over and over. I whispered, "Mark?" expecting him to answer from outside. Instead, I heard his voice, right next to me, inside the tent, half asleep. "What?" That's when my stomach dropped, because the footsteps didn't stop. We both went completely still. You know that feeling where your body just locks up? Yeah, that. The steps kept circling, then stopped right behind my head, like whatever it was standing inches from the fabric. Then it spoke. "Hey." It sounded like Mark, perfectly like him. Same tone, same voice. But Mark was next to me. I felt him grab my arm in the dark. Hard. Neither of us said a word. Then the voice came again. A little off this time, like someone trying too hard to sound human. "Come out here." The way it said it, I can't explain it properly. The words were normal, but the rhythm was wrong. Like it didn't understand how people actually talk. We didn't move, didn't respond. A few seconds passed, then we heard something drag along the side of the tent. Slow, scratching. Not claws exactly. More like fingers. Long fingers. Then silence. Complete silence. No bugs. No wind. Nothing. After what felt like forever, I guess I drifted off because the next thing I remember is sunlight. Birds chirping, like everything was fine. Mark and I didn't even need to talk about it at first. We both just packed up as fast as possible. But when we finally did talk, he told me he heard something else during the night, before I woke up. He said he heard my voice outside the tent, calling his name. We checked around the campsite before leaving. There were prints in the dirt, but they didn't make sense. They looked almost like human footprints, but too long and spaced too far apart, like whatever made them wasn't walking normally. Here's the part that still messes with me the most. About a week later, I got a voicemail from Mark, just breathing at first, then my own voice saying, "Hey." Same voice, same wrong rhythm. I called him immediately, and he picked up, confused. Said he never called me. "We don't camp anymore. Believe me or don't, I don't care. I just needed to get this out somewhere." If you thought that was unsettling, listen to this. I wasn't even supposed to be on that trip. My cousin bailed last minute, and my friend Daniel didn't want to waste the reservation, so he asked if I'd take the spot. It was one of those paid campsites on the edge of a huge stretch of protected forest, far enough out that you feel isolated, but still technically maintained. Bathrooms, a 10-minute walk away. A couple of other sites scattered around, but once it gets dark, it might as well be the middle of nowhere. There were 4 of us total. Me, Daniel, his girlfriend Sarah, and another friend, Lucas. Everything was fine the first night. Honestly, kind of boring. We grilled food, played cards, and turned in early. Second night is when things started. Sarah was the first one to notice it. Around dusk, she asked if anyone else heard whistling. None of us did at the time. She described it as someone trying to mimic a bird, but not quite getting it right, like the pitch was off. We brushed it off. Later that night, we were sitting around the fire when Lucas suddenly stood up and said, "Okay, which one of you is messing around?" We all just stared at him. He pointed into the trees and said he heard Daniel calling his name from out there. Daniel was sitting right next to me. We laughed it off, nervous laughter, but it definitely shifted the mood. After that, we kept the fire going longer than we planned. Eventually, we all went to sleep. Sarah and Daniel in one tent, me and Lucas in another. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up because Lucas was whispering. At first, I thought he was talking in his sleep, but then I realized he was saying the same thing over and over. "Don't answer it." I asked him what he meant, and he just shook his head and told me to listen. So I did. And that's when I heard it. Footsteps? No, not exactly. It sounded lighter than that, almost like something hopping or shifting its weight awkwardly. It moved between the tents, stopping for a few seconds at each one. Then it went quiet. A few seconds later, I heard Sarah's voice outside. "Hey, can you unzip this? I'm cold." It sounded exactly like her. Soft, a little groggy, completely normal. Lucas grabbed my wrist immediately. His grip was shaking. "Don't," he whispered. We both knew Sarah was in the other tent. Then she spoke again, closer this time. "Hello, guys?" There was something wrong with the pacing, like the pauses were just a little too long, like it was waiting for a cue that never came. From the other tent, we suddenly heard Daniel, awake now, say, "Sarah, is that you?" The voice outside didn't respond right away. Then, in a completely different tone, flatter, almost impatient, it said, "Open it." Not please, not can you. Just that. Open it. At that point, Lucas quietly reached over and locked the zipper from the inside hook. I didn't even know tents had that. We didn't make a sound after that. What happened next is the part I still replay. The thing outside started moving again, but faster now. Not circling, darting. 1 second, it was near our tent. The next, it sounded like it was right beside Daniel and Sarah's. Then behind us. Then in front again. Too fast. Way too fast. At one point, it ran past so close to our tent wall that I could see the fabric push inward slightly, like something brushed against it. But there was no clear shape. Just movement. After maybe a minute of that, it stopped completely. And then, from somewhere deeper in the woods, we heard Sarah scream. A full-on, terrified scream. Daniel immediately started unzipping his tent. Sarah, real Sarah, started yelling at him to stop. She was inside, with him. The screaming in the woods kept going for a few seconds longer, then cut off instantly, like someone hit mute. Nobody slept after that. At sunrise, we packed up without even eating. As we were leaving, we checked the ground around the tents. There were marks, but they didn't look like normal tracks. It was like something had been pressing into the dirt with uneven weight. Some deeper spots, some barely there, like it didn't fully understand how to walk. The creepiest part? There were no tracks leading into the trees where we heard the scream, just around us. We reported it to the campsite office, and the guy there just got really quiet. He asked where exactly we stayed, nodded slowly, and said something like, "People don't usually book that section twice. We haven't gone camping together since, and every now and then, usually late at night, I catch myself thinking I hear that same off-pitch whistling, always just once, never twice." Another story, from a different place, but just as unsettling. My dad is not the kind of person who tells stories. He doesn't exaggerate, doesn't joke much, and definitely doesn't believe in anything supernatural. He's the type who fixes things himself, trusts what he can see, and usually has a practical explanation for everything. So, when he told me this, it stuck. He said it happened when he was in his early 20s, long before I was born. He was driving back late at night after visiting a friend who lived way out in the countryside. Not a lot of houses, long stretches of road, the kind where your headlights feel like they're barely cutting through the dark. About halfway home, he saw something standing on the side of the road. At first, he thought it was a person, just standing there, facing away from the road. That wasn't unusual. People walked those roads sometimes. But what caught his attention was how still it was. No shifting weight, no turning its head, just frozen. He slowed down a bit, thinking maybe the person needed help. But as he got closer, he realized something was off with the proportions. Too tall, he said, not by a little, by enough that it didn't look right next to the nearby fence posts. Still, he rolled down his window a crack and called out, "Hey, you okay?" The figure didn't respond, didn't move. He said that's when he noticed its arms. They were hanging too low, like past where knees should be. And the hands. He couldn't make out details, but he said they didn't look like hands. At that point, he decided to just keep driving. As he started to pass it, the figure turned its head, not its body, just the head, and it turned too far, way too far, like it didn't have the normal limits a person should have. He said he caught a glimpse of its face in the headlights, and that's the part he never describes the same way twice. The only thing he's consistent about is that it looked like it was trying to be a face, but something about it didn't line up. Features slightly misplaced, expression wrong for the situation. He hit the gas, didn't look back at first, just focused on the road. But after a few seconds, he checked the rearview mirror. The road behind him was empty. No figure, no movement, nothing. He told himself it must have stepped off into the ditch or something. Then he heard it, a knock on the bed of his truck. Not loud, just a single, solid thunk. He froze up but kept driving. A few seconds later, another knock, this time closer, like it had moved forward. He said he didn't want to look, but he did anyway. Just a quick glance in the side mirror, and he saw something crouched in the back, too big to be hidden properly. Its limbs folded in ways that didn't look comfortable or possible, and its head was tilted forward like it was watching the cab, watching him. He slammed on the gas, the road curved ahead, and he took it faster than he should have. Gravel kicked up, the truck fishtailed slightly, and then the knocking stopped. Completely. He didn't check again, didn't slow down until he hit the main road closer to town. When he finally got home, he went straight to the back of the truck. Nothing there. No scratches, no dents, no footprints in the dust. just empty. I asked him once why he never told that story before. He shrugged and said, "Because I don't know what it was." Then, after a pause, he added, "But it knew what I was." He doesn't like driving that road at night anymore. We'll end with a story that still doesn't have an explanation. I didn't grow up believing in anything like this. We lived on a small farm, nothing huge, just some chickens, a few cows, and a lot of land. The nearest neighbor was far enough that you couldn't see their house, just a faint twin light at night if the weather was clear. It was quiet in a way that most people aren't used to anymore. But when animals start acting wrong, you notice. This started when I was around 14. At first, it was little things. The chickens wouldn't go back into the coop at night unless we physically put them in. Our dog, who usually roamed freely, started refusing to leave the porch after dark. He'd just sit there, staring out toward the fields, low growl in his throat, like he saw something we didn't. My dad thought it was a fox, or maybe a stray dog. Then the cows started bunching up in one corner of the pasture at night, not grazing, not lying down, just standing there, pressed together, all facing the same direction, toward the tree line. We checked for predators, found nothing, no tracks, no broken fencing, nothing missing. Then, one night, I heard knocking, not on the house, on the barn. 3 slow knocks, thump, thump, thump. I remember sitting up in bed, trying to figure out if I imagined it. A few seconds passed, then it happened again. Same pattern, same spacing. My room faced the barn, so I got up and looked out the window. At first, I didn't see anything, just the shape of the barn and the field behind it, barely visible in the moonlight. Then I noticed the door. It was open, just slightly. We always kept it shut at night. As I was staring at it, trying to decide if I should wake my parents, something moved inside. Not out of the barn, inside it, like a shadow shifting where there shouldn't be one. Then I heard it again, but this time it wasn't knocking. It was my mom's voice. "Can you come help me?" Clear as day, calm, normal, from the barn. My stomach dropped immediately because I could hear my mom snoring in the next room. I didn't move, didn't answer. The voice came again, a little louder this time. "Hey, I need you." Same voice, but flatter, like it was repeating something it had already heard. I backed away from the window and just stood there, not knowing what to do. After a minute or so, I forced myself to look again. The barn door was closed, completely. Next morning, I told my parents everything. My dad went out to check. Nothing looked disturbed, no signs of anyone being there. But the animals were worse. The cows had torn up part of the ground where they'd been standing, like they'd been shifting and stomping all night. One of the chickens was dead near the coop, not eaten, not injured, just lying there, eyes open. After that, my dad started locking everything down at night. Barn, coop, even the tool shed. A few days later, he admitted something to me he hadn't mentioned before. He said he'd heard voices too, not just Mom's, mine as well, calling from the fields when I was inside the house. He told me, "If you hear anyone outside at night, you check first. You don't answer." Things eventually stopped, or at least we stopped noticing them. But even now, years later, when I visit, the animals still act strange after dark. The dog won't leave the porch. The cows drift closer to the house. And nobody Nobody goes near the barn at night anymore. Not after we started hearing knocking from the inside.